Oh yeah, the LA scene especially. LA is just the most garbage people. I don't know how much time you spent out there.
Some.
No backbone.
I was there for 3 days. And I'm not religious. I was like, these people need God.
Yeah, and they just can't wait to sell out a friend to protect an idea of their place in the world. The way they react to Crystalia, Bryan Callen, anyone who gets into any trouble, they're just like, sacrifice. I gotta save myself. No one's even coming after them. You know, they're like, well, people ask me, but I'm like, who? Strangers are asking? What are you talking about? Yeah, and those guys even sell out each other. It's crazy. It's crazy. Immediately, not just like, hey, fuck off, that's my friend, without even calling them. That's what I saw in LA. People without even calling their friend because they're too busy getting plastic surgery. It was like, let me sell them out real quick.
You know, what's important to say, we haven't spoken to Chris.
No.
And we've never been on the road with him. I was on the road with him about 14 years ago once when he was, just beginning, but I've never been on the road with him. So I don't know. I don't know what to think, and I don't know. And that's what's so frustrating.
I'm just sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
So anyway.
Instead of going, hey, fuck you. No, he didn't do that. It's an easy one to do. And if you're found out wrong, you just go, okay, well, I found out more. But they're so worried.
So yesterday, Ari Shaffir went on the Trigonometry podcast, and I'm sure these guys are fine, but have you ever heard a cornier name for a show? Not like I'm any good at naming things, but Trigonometry? I mean, come on. As you can see in the intro, he went off on Callen and the rest of the LA comics for how completely fake their friendships are, and how they're willing to just throw each other under the bus without even reaching out first. But if that was the only interesting thing he brought up, I wouldn't be making this video. He actually calls out a lot more people throughout the course of this podcast. Like this one towards the end, where he exposes Kim Congdon for reporting someone to the police for hate speech just for saying build that wall.
And I've seen people misreport hate crimes. We were outside the, I heard about this, the Comedy Store after Trump got elected. And Kim Congdon and a bunch of other people, and they're feeling excitable because of Trump. And they're all standing around, and somebody yells, like, you go build that wall, as they're driving by. And she's like, what the fuck? And got really mad. And everybody else like, Kim, I don't think they're talking to you or really, or like mad like that. And she goes, no, that's fucking hate. And they were like, you sure it's not because we're outside the Comedy Store and they're making a joke? She's like, no fucking way. And the one was like, that was a black guy in the car. Like I saw the black guy yelling it out. I think he was making a joke. Also, there's only one a bit Latino woman in here and we're all just white and black. It just doesn't hold up, but she felt the fucking racism. So that's a reported hate crime.
Just 3 weeks ago, Kim Congdon uploaded a clip complaining about how cancel culture is ruining comedy, but she's out here reporting regular people to the police for repeating one of the campaign slogans for the man who just won the presidency.
Cancel culture has done great damage to comedy. Like that's what comedy is now. It's like, just tell me like what I hear, what I relate to.
Yeah, they came and they want to hear specific things instead of just coming and hearing something they may have never heard or thought of before.
Yeah.
Can I be offensive tonight? Is that cool? Oh, thank God. Because let me tell you, I'm sick of the comedy crowds that get offended. It's crazy. I've been doing this for like 9 years and I've noticed that it's getting worse and worse.
I know that people can have a change of heart, but I'm more prone to believe that this is a grift, and she can just sense where the wind's blowing. Ari also discusses something that I've talked about in the last couple of my videos, the traditional cycle of a career in podcasting and comedy, and how money and success becomes a force of entropy, detaching you from your work and your audience, leading to an increasingly inferior product by the day.
I don't understand why comedians are worried about this kind of what's happening online, because the reality is no one really watches what the mainstream creates anymore.
No,
There's
right.
one or two things, but mostly no.
Yeah.
And the power is with the creator.
Yeah, it's weird. It's money, I think. So they had a lot of people just broke for a long time, barely making ends meet, day jobs, temp jobs, or barely getting by with comedy, making 35 grand a year. And then like money came into it. And now that they don't have 32 grand, they make $3.2 million a year. They're like, well, I can't afford to lose 100 grand on a sponsor. It's nuts, but that's what happens to everybody, I guess. It's money, I think. Yeah, I don't know. These comics, they get weak. I see it. It's a worrisome thing. You got to look at where other comics dropped off and avoid it. And I think what most of the rich ones get is they stop. There's exceptions, obviously. The political comics are just as angry about politics, no matter how rich they get. The ones that are heartbroken, they get just as angry about heartbreak. You know, they just gotta self-motivate. But a lot of them just like, they stop going up every day. They're not daily comics. You know, they just get ready for specials. And they're just not as good. You see it, they're not as good.
This seems to be obviously referencing people like Schulz and Segura, who have reached their peaks and have been trending downwards over the last year. He also brings up an American social climber comedian who nobody can stand at all, and the other guys on the show know exactly who he's talking about, but I honestly have no idea who they're referring to.
But that's LA. It's always been like that.
Sounds like the Edinburgh Festival. Mate.
Yeah.
What?
Sounds like the Edinburgh Festival.
A bit. Yo, you can see a lot of that climbing at Edinburgh. For sure. For sure. And then you see some of the Americans. Not all. I've seen one or two climber Americans. We're probably thinking of the same person. But like
yeah, I think we all know.
If you guys have any ideas who they're talking about, let me know down in the comments. Ari also mentions how Joe took a couple of years to have Shane on the podcast after he was canceled from SNL, and how it was actually the Legion of Skanks who lifted him up after he was fired.
Yeah, that gets snatched away from him because of something he said on a podcast, blah, 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 blah. And then it's almost the way I think the reason it's interesting is the comedy industry, and from what I could see from the outside, and you may have a better perspective, like circled the wagons around him.
Yeah.
Rogan helped him out, other people helped him out, made sure that he was getting attention, and then his talent kind of shone
Rogan
through.
took a couple of years with Rogan.
You did?
Yeah, it was a couple of years later that he was on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I guess.
But once he discovered him, he's like, this guy's great. Well, it had nothing to do with what happened at SNL.
Oh, okay.
It had nothing to do with that.
Interesting.
Like, people say,
All right.
I like your sketches, they're funny.
So that was misreading from me. But I guess what I feel is people didn't throw him in the trash can.
No, and also they felt like, hey, he's one of ours. He's getting unfairly taken down. And like the Legion of Skanks type of crowd was like, no, fuck that. That's so shitty.
It really shows how honest Ari is, that he's not willing to go along with this portrayal of Joe as the savior of canceled comedians. I don't think many other people in the Rogan sphere would bring up the fact that he didn't have Shane on the podcast immediately when people were trying to ruin his career. How many comedians have you heard suck off Joe for his never-ending contributions to the comedy community? We get it. He has you guys on his podcast. A lot of people listen to it. He built his own comedy club. He's really the godfather of podcasting. No matter what you think of Ari, you have to admit he has much less of a filter than your average comedian, and seems a lot less concerned about making sure his comedian friends are always happy with him. Yeah, just a quick update video for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, please subscribe. Thank you all for watching.